Hey everyone, it's Nicole here. I'm so sorry this video took so long to get out. This is my recap, of course, of Red Band Society. I believe we are on episode 4 now. So it is homecoming for Kara, and Kara wants to go to homecoming so badly, and she thinks she has to persuade Nurse Jackson, and really all she needs is a chaperone, which is crazy for her. She's excited, but she's like, I don't want to take you. And Nurse Jackson's like, oh, honey, I'm not going with you. And Nurse Brittany, who recently had a breakup with her boyfriend, is kind of like, ooh, I'll go. And Kara's kind of like, whatever, fine. Leo, meanwhile, is getting an email from, I believe, Stanford. They want him to come play soccer for him, possibly. They're ready to offer him a scholarship. They have obviously no idea that he does not have one of his legs. So he talks to Nurse Jackson, and they're like, well, what if we look up a physical therapy place for you, that is more intensive for sports training. And she's like, if you find it, I'll make some calls. We'll see what we can do. He's excited, and off he goes. Jordy and Dash are kind of hanging out, doing their thing. Emma helps Nurse Brittany get ready, and as she's helping Nurse Brittany, Brittany's kind of like, oh, isn't homecoming great? And Emma's like, I never went to mine, wouldn't know. And of course Nurse Brittany takes that as, oh, you're coming tonight, you're going to have to come, and Emma gets kind of pulled into this, and she's not excited about it. So the three of them get ready, and they end up at homecoming together, and, it's different. Kara walks in and kind of like recommands the school, or as she thinks she is, and everyone's like, oh, Kara. And, Emma's nervous and she doesn't know how to make friends, but then Leo shows up and is like, oh, hey, and Emma's great and relaxed then. And they go try to have a good time. There is a moment where it seems like they're going to kiss. They don't. But it actually seems like, as compared to last episode, that Emma actually might want to kiss this time. And I think Leo kind of remembers, like, oh, she wants to be friends. So he backs off, and he's like, oh, I'll get us waters. And she goes, cool. So he leaves, and she just kind of sits at a table. Meanwhile, Jordy has just had his first round of chemotherapy at the hospital, so now he's laying low, and he's playing cards with Dash for a little bit. He seems to be okay, which is really good. So that's always good to know. Back at homecoming, Kara sees someone wearing like the same type of dress as her, so she accidentally spills lip gloss on it, and the friend's kind of like, oh, ignores it. I can't tell if Kara seems weirded out that she just accepted it, or if that's how it usually works. I'm not quite sure. Kara then later splits off and bumps into some girl and with a back brace, and the girl is like, Kara, Kara, and Kara's just really confused. It doesn't make any sense to her why this girl would be talking to her. Obviously something that didn't normally happen. Leo, meanwhile, grabs Waters. As he's grabbing Waters, this guy they used to play against in soccer comes up to him and he's like, oh, Leo, and he's like, oh, you finished, you're all better, and Leo's kind of like, oh, no, I'm not, well, I'm getting stronger, and he shows him, like, his new leg, and obviously as soon as that happens, the kid kind of freaks out, backpedals, gets awkward, you can tell he's not prepared for this, and Leo's just like, it's really uncomfortable for him, and, the guy's pitying Leo and making it like, oh, they saved you a spot on the team, it's so nice of them, and it's just not what Leo wants to hear. So he's trying to go and leave and find Emma. Emma, meanwhile, there are these two girls that are in awe of her because they say she's a size, I guess, 000, and they think she's gorgeous, and they've never seen one, and they're like, ooh, let's take selfies, and let's talk about how you do this, and Emma, I think, is just so overwhelmed by people wanting to be her friends outside of the hospital that she's excited, and she just kind of lets it go over her head that this isn't a healthy thing to bond over, and she just sits down and starts talking to them. So Jordy and Dash back at the hospital are playing cards, of course, and Jordy's mom, who's kind of late to chemotherapy, I think, comes in to make it up to them, is like, oh, Jordy, Dash, you gotta go out to the movies and have some fun tonight. She gives them money, and she's like, go, like, live your life, and of course they're kids, they're excited, they're like, yeah, definitely, let's do this. So they go, and leave the hospital. Back at homecoming, Leo bumps into Kara on his way back, and Kara's just she's ready to leave. She's like, they're all pitying me. They're making some video of her and acting almost as if she's already dead. And it's not how she wants to be remembered. You know, she kind of says to him, I would rather be feared than loved. And so, you know, just as she's about to leave, the spotlight comes on and they're like, oh, homecoming queen is Kara. And Kara's like, okay, you know, I could maybe stay for this. And she's like, all right. And she goes to walk up, and someone comes up all of a sudden and is like, oh, we need you to get in the wheelchair. And she's like, I'm fine, I can walk. And of course, these guys are like, it's a liability, you need to get in the wheelchair. And she doesn't see a way out of it, so she sits in the wheelchair, and you can just see, like, her whole mood just drops. They are wheeling her up, they're using people to lift her whole wheelchair onto the stage. She's already covering her face, she doesn't want any of this. Leo at this time is finding Emma, and he's kind of like, you smell like smoke, and Emma's like, oh, I went out with the girls, they needed to smoke, and he's kind of like, what? It doesn't seem like you. Sorry. And so then they're standing and they're watching, and Emma's, you know, kind of like, whatever, and Leo feels bad because this isn't how Kara likes to be remembered. So they start saying they're going to show this tribute video, and Leo gets this idea, and he goes, oh, can I talk first about her? And they go, okay, and Kara's kind of like, what the hell are you doing? And so Leo gets on stage, and he grabs the mic, and he's like, I've known her for 5 days, and those are the worst 5 days of my life. And Kara looks up, and she starts smiling, and he goes, she is greedy and selfish, and he says all the bad qualities, and Kara's loving it, and she's laughing, and everyone's like, no, 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 no. And Kara just gets up and walks over to him and just kisses him, and obviously Emma's so not happy about that. Meanwhile, Jordan and Dash are at the movies, and Dash is kind of talking to Jordy like, oh, your mom's really making an effort, and Jordy's like, I don't know. Starts feeling like crap, and Dash is like, let me get you some water. Jordy's like, no, no, no. Collapses on the ground. Not good. Meanwhile, back at the hospital, the doctor's like, did you let them go? You know, Jordy's not in a condition to be leaving. He needs permission. And she's like, I didn't know, I'm sorry. And then she's like, let's have a drink. And he's like, what? No, we're not doing this because he's your son and I'm treating him. And she's like, well, I'm getting mixed signals. And it's just very, like, she's kind of spiraling, it seems, out of control. Back at Homecoming, well, no, actually the guys from Homecoming have come back now. Emma kind of storms off. She's not happy with Leo. Kara's just annoyed by people blowing up her phone and being mad at her that she didn't stay, and Nurse Brittany's like, well, that was a good night. You know, it's Nurse Brittany. So then Leo goes to talk to Emma, and Emma's kind of like, why'd you defend her? And he's like, nobody wants to be pitied, okay? And then he basically tells Emma, like, you don't have to stay here, Emma. And it's true. Like, it's a weird thing to think about, but it's true. You know, she just has to try and just go through with eating food and realize it's okay. You know, Jordy and Kara and Leo, they don't have that option. They need to stay at the hospital to survive right now. And Emma doesn't, you know, Emma needs to step back and think about that. So she kind of is like, oh. And Leo just kind of walks off, and it's probably the first time that we don't see him trying to be like, but Emma, let me make it up to you, you know, because it's true. He knows what that's like. Back at Jordy's room, he's back at the hospital. His mom is helping him from the bathroom to the bed. Nurse Jackson's wetting cloths down, and then, you know, Dash and Nurse Jackson leave, and the mom is obviously panicked, and she's like, can I get you some ginger ale? And he's like, no, Mom, just sit with me, and she's like, I'll get you some ginger ale, and he passes out. Meanwhile, the doctor's at the nurse's station doing some stuff or whatever. He sees Jordy's mom. She's frantically pushing the elevator button. You know, it's pretty clear she's not sticking around, and he runs. Jordy wakes up and walks to the window, and he sees his mom, and she's running out into the parking lot, and the doctor keeps trying to hold her and tell her, and you can see he's trying to persuade her to stay. She's not having any of it. She grabs a taxi, and, you know, as we were watching her get in this taxi, there's a flashback of when Jordy's really young, and she puts him on the bus probably when she sent him to his grandma, and he's crying as he waves goodbye to her because he knows what's going on. And then it flashes back to him now, and it's a truly heartbreaking moment. That just killed me. And, you know, she's really not staying around. The doctor goes to Nurse Jackson and just kind of lets Nurse Jackson know after that, you know, she signed over the emancipation rights and Geordi's officially theirs. And Nurse Jackson's like, I figured, you know, she knew. Meanwhile, with Leo and Nurse Jackson, Leo decides he doesn't want to try that. Nurse Jackson at the time had also found some guy to train him. And he's like, I don't want to be pitied. I don't want to be remembered for my story. I want to be remembered because I'm a good soccer player. And, you know, Nurse Jackson's like, okay, you know, that's cute. Like, why not? And then the last scene of the episode is just Kara's just kind of like decides she doesn't want to go back to school. And Nurse Jackson is taking care of Geordi as he rests. So it was a good episode. Heartbreaking qualities, funny qualities, you know, and next episode should be great as well. So thank you for watching, guys. Sorry again it took so long. YouTube trouble slash I don't know. But hopefully I can get the next video out sooner, fingers crossed. As always, thank you for watching. Have a good night, guys. Bye.